Have you ever stood in a room packed with hundreds of happy, laughing people and felt completely, utterly invisible? The museum gala was a swirling ocean of golden lights, expensive perfume, and clinking crystal glasses. But to me, it felt like an island of ice. I stood near the back wall, staring blankly at an abstract painting I didn't understand, desperately trying to look busy. My fingers clutched the cold stem of my champagne glass so tightly they turned white. Every burst of laughter from the crowd felt like an arrow, reminding me that I didn't belong here. I was just a ghost wandering through someone else's perfect fantasy. I could feel the hot sting of tears threatening to blur my vision and the overwhelming urge to run away, to slip out into the cold night before anyone noticed I was even there, took over my entire body. The truth was, I shouldn't have come. I had convinced myself that tonight would be different, that I could finally step out of my shell and be one of those confident people who navigate high society effortlessly. Instead, I was trapped in my own mind, suffocating under the heavy weight of social anxiety. Every glance from a stranger felt like a judgment, a silent critique of my cheap dress or my awkward posture. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. The exit sign at the back of the hall glowed like a beacon of safety, promising an escape from this silent torture. I took one step backward, ready to abandon the evening entirely and retreat to the safety of my quiet apartment, accepting the bitter defeat of another lonely night. But just as I turned my body to escape, a shadow fell over me, stopping me in my tracks. It was a corporate-sponsored charity gala, the kind of event where everyone wears a mask of perfect success. I was only there because my boss had practically ordered me to represent our small department. I was the low-level employee who didn't fit into this world of elite collectors and wealthy patrons. For 2 hours, I had stood by the pillars, watching people swap business cards and laugh at inside jokes. I was a spectator in a game I didn't know how to play. The sheer contrast between their effortless charm and my crippling self-doubt was paralyzing. I felt exposed, like a mistake on display in a gallery of masterpieces. I had prepared myself to leave with nothing but a bruised ego and a deep sense of isolation, fully believing that some people are simply meant to watch life from the sidelines. Quick, pretend we're having an intense, intellectual debate about this brushwork. A low, smooth voice whispered right next to my ear. Startled, my breath hitched in my throat. I looked up and met a pair of striking, dark eyes, framed by a face that seemed completely at ease in this chaotic room. He didn't look like a stranger. He looked like a lifeline. He was tall, impeccably dressed, and possessed an aura of quiet confidence that seemed to push back the heavy crowd. Before I could stammer a response, he took a slow sip of his drink and smiled warmly, a genuine, comforting expression that melted my panic instantly. "I'm Julian," he murmured, his voice steady and inviting. "And right now, we are deeply unimpressed by this artist's postmodern phase. Do you mind if I join your exclusive circle of one?" I could only nod, completely captivated. Suddenly, we weren't just two strangers. We were a unit. Julian stood close, his shoulder brushing mine, creating a small sanctuary of safety in the middle of the crowded gallery. The immediate challenge was keeping up the facade. I was terrified I would say the wrong thing, ruin the illusion, and reveal myself as an imposter. But Julian made it incredibly easy. He began describing the ridiculous imaginary meanings behind the abstract red splatters on the canvas, his tone perfectly serious, but his eyes dancing with mischief. I found myself smiling, then let out a soft laugh that felt entirely real. But as we laughed, I noticed a group of wealthy board members from my company watching us from across the room. They were whispering, pointing, and slowly making their way toward us. My heart leaped into my throat. The game was suddenly very real, and the stakes were rising. It was Clara, my company's notoriously strict regional director. She was notorious for weeding out people she deemed unpolished. She walked up to us, her eyes scanning Julian with deep curiosity and a hint of suspicion. "I didn't realize you were attending tonight," Clara said, her voice sharp as glass. "And who is your charming friend?" My mind went entirely blank. I froze, the cold grip of anxiety threatening to choke me again. But before the silence could stretch into disaster, Julian stepped forward seamlessly. "We were just discussing the delicate balance of light in the gallery," he said smoothly, offering Clara a confident handshake. "I've been trying to convince her to share her brilliant insights on the upcoming exhibition, but she is far too modest." Clara's demeanor shifted instantly, her suspicion melting into sheer admiration. We had survived, and the thrill of our shared victory sent electricity through my veins. After Clara walked away, thoroughly impressed, Julian turned back to me. The playful smirk was still on his lips, but his eyes held a new depth of sincerity. He reached out and gently touched my arm, his fingers warm and steady against my skin. "You did amazing," he murmured, his voice soft and incredibly close. "See? You belong here just as much as anyone else." At that moment, my heart skipped a beat, but it wasn't from fear or anxiety. It was from the sudden, breathtaking realization that I didn't want this pretending to end. The crowded museum, the expensive art, the flashing cameras, all of it faded into a blurry background. The only thing that felt real, solid, and wonderfully alive was the man standing in front of me. I wasn't acting anymore. For the first time in my entire life, I felt truly seen, valued, and beautiful. As the night finally wound down and the great hall began to empty, we walked together toward the exit. The cool night air rushed in through the open glass doors, a refreshing contrast to the stifling heat of the gala. The heavy coat of loneliness that had weighed me down for months had completely vanished, replaced by an unfamiliar, wonderful lightness. I looked down at my hands, realizing they were no longer trembling. The quiet confidence Julian had shared with me had somehow become my own. I turned to him, feeling a sudden wave of vulnerability as the reality of the evening's end set in. Our beautiful temporary act was over, and we were about to step back into our separate lives. I wanted to thank him, to tell him how much those 2 hours of pretending had saved me, but the words felt too fragile to speak aloud. Julian stopped under the warm glow of a street lamp, turning to face me fully. "You looked like you needed a partner in crime tonight," he said softly, his voice carrying no hidden agenda, only pure kindness. Tears pricked the corners of my eyes, but they were tears of relief, not sadness. "Thank you," I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. "You saved me tonight." "And I don't even know your name." He smiled, that same steady, reassuring smile that had rescued me hours earlier, and extended his hand. "My name is Julian, and I promise you, none of tonight was a performance for me." As my fingers slid into his warm grasp, a spark of hope ignited deep inside my chest. This wasn't the end of a fleeting fantasy. It was the quiet, beautiful beginning of something real. I drove away knowing my heart had changed forever. Sometimes a single unexpected moment with a stranger can rewrite your entire story and open doors you never thought possible. If this journey touched your heart, you will absolutely love the next story waiting for you on your screen right now. Click on the video appearing on the left to discover another beautiful true story of unexpected connections and how they can change your life when you least expect it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss these heartwarming stories of human connection. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, the next person you meet might just change your world forever. Click now, and I'll see you in the next video as we explore more incredible, heart-touching moments of destiny and human connection.